Hi, this is LaDonna with And She Saw Stars. I want to talk about RMIT and my campaign on GoFundMe. Um, I'm I'm really into education. I'm a fashion designer right now. Um, Undergrad is aerospace engineering. I was in the military, and I was a lieutenant colonel when I left, acting colonel or whatever. And I transitioned into fashion. I got an associate's with FIDM, and FIDM does have a study abroad program, and one of them was to RMIT for like a quarter. I wasn't able to finish. I ran into some difficulties there. Seemed to be racism at the time, and so I returned. Not immediately. I did do an independent study. I will talk about that later because it's sort of a longer story. But I made lemonade, and it proved very fruitful. I actually covered Mercedes-Benz Fashion Week in Sydney, Australia as press, and that was my first big show. And that opportunity never would have come to me if I hadn't been at RMIT and I hadn't left. The school there looked glorious, and the classes I was in looked like they would be great. I want to return to study, and because associates is not enough, and I do believe in continuing education over time. And so going to RMIT right now would be, maybe a 4-year program that I'm looking at applying for. If I could go back to that would be great. So that's what this campaign is for, RMIT, so I can study my fashion. I have some updates there so you can see what I've done so far. If you go to my YouTube channel, And She Saw Stars, please subscribe, and you can sort of start following me. I'm going to organize it a little bit better. I am dealing with breast cancer right now, and I have a campaign for that. That's almost like a separate issue. This is for hopefully being a survivor, okay, and planning that in advance so that it's ready for me. I also had a campaign for Beverly Hills Design Institute where I'm on break so that I can finish that degree. That was just that campaign sort of is lost on GoFundMe. So once it's up, it'll be up. That's why I ran out of GI Bill money. So hopefully I can update that, and more information can be there. I know it seems like a lot, like you're going to study, what are you doing, and stuff like that. A lot of people think you get a degree and that's enough. That's not enough. Okay, after 18 years in the military, and then also so many years post University of Michigan, a bachelor's degree is not enough. I have a Master of Science in Aeronautical Engineering as well from Loughborough University in England, and that made me a bit more ready. But even still, I did my thesis and stuff like that. More education is needed so that you can stay on the edge of the field. You don't want to become stale, and you don't want your knowledge to not be tested every so often to see if you really know your stuff. And there's nothing wrong with reattacking that which you did not do that great in to begin with, and going back and doing Calc 3 or going back and doing Statics 101 and such like that. The same applies for fashion. Staying on top of the game and developing into couture. Right now, what I'm doing is sort of upcycled design using recycled fabrics such as jersey and recycled t-shirts. That's sort of my specialty right now. My big thing is draping. Most of my garments are draped on the form. I do patterns, and to be honest, I do a mixture of the two. I don't really talk about it because maybe it's something in my patent, which is important to take a look at as a designer, but also as an engineer, and knowing when it might be opportunity to patent a particular process and develop it further. Hence the need for additional education. Beverly Hills Design Institute is a pattern design degree, and I do want to finish it. I sort of finished it a little bit, but that's when I really became sick, and so I wasn't able to, really do as well as I would have liked. I am expected to return there, and I might upload some of the videos I've done there. I did do a presentation of a notebook I designed and developed, and it was well received by the school. I have some stuff I did with the school, press release, stuff with Chuck D. He was a Public Enemy, was showing a new act downtown LA. I was able to cover his press, and Beverly Hills Design Institute in Beverly Hills, California was involved, and that was a great time. So Beverly Hills Design Institute, you can find them at bdhi.com, I believe. I don't think it's a .edu, but if you search Beverly Hills Design Institute, you can look them up. My resume might be there, and you might be able to find me. I did try to upload it, and I'm hoping to return. So what I really want is for people to feel free to invest in my education as a designer. What do you get out of it as a campaign donor? My donations and campaigns will probably evolve to where donors do receive art or something like that. That's something I'm researching and looking into, because I do photography and art, and some of it, well, I think all of it is great, maybe at certain donation levels, I might offer a design of a garment, something like that. But those my garments they're no hickory sticks. Many hours are invested in the design of my garments. I drape on the form, and I do old school, showing up to the person to do fit and then form. That's engineering. Of course, a body is another airfoil. And sort of to get the drape, the flow, the textile, right? Obviously aerodynamic flow, to sort of grace the form and proportionality. So there's a pleasing and appealing to the eye. Again, a form of design, like you might see with a car, line, eye, follow line, and functionality, and usability. I do the ilities, and that's just what I call them: reliability, maintainability, usability, accessibility. And I do apply them in some form to my fashion design, because it's important that garments can go the distance over time, and they can also pull the eye, and capture the entire room. I do believe in that. I don't believe it requires tons of yardage. I do believe it requires a critical eye and the knowledge and use of mathematics and stuff like that. Okay, we're all keen here. So I really believe in that. And I believe in going out into the field, such as, I showcased Fashion X, develop, put out a line, do commissions and stuff like that, but return back to school, develop further the craft, where your line is going, and then more importantly, your style, into knits, into couture, hand sewn beading, recycling of applique, and making your own applique, which I have done. I will show that in my updates. I took some fabric and I made my own applique. You can see I don't want to give my stuff. My mom sewed quite well and stunningly, and she took Oscar de la Renta, I'll never forget, bridal gown and redesigned it. I could remember my face was like, this is Oscar de la Renta, but she redesigned it to make a new gown of her own fashioning, along with the hat, applique, everything. I grew up with her sewing, and I didn't have the patience for zippers and stuff. I have a more punk look that I've developed, use of safety pins and stuff like that. But it's hot, and it is on trend, and that will obviously I will be developing that, and that can go into things of handmade jewelry, hammered, handmade materials, recycled materials, all of which goes into this campaign for RMIT or even my Beverly Hills Design Institute, to return to school to learn the techniques and go back out into the field, show you what I've done, make it available to you, these new designs, these new cutting edge trends, okay, fashion for you, for runway, for your cotillion, for your prom, for your wedding. Because one of my gowns that I did for Fashion Next, the final piece, was seen as a bridal gown. And to be honest, the piece I did for Vancouver, which was a rock and roll punk dress, one lady wore it to the Grammys. I wasn't able to get any images, but she said she would marry in that gown, and so that's a great compliment. I do believe in the loaning out of garments, making this is again too much test, but a beta, a sample, loaning it out, testing it out, marking it up, and then retiring it, okay, and then coming out with the final design. Okay, and so these are concepts that I'll be developing over time, and this is how the investment into my education going in will come back out as returns to you. Okay, and that's garments, baubles, eventually, pieces, that you can buy, wear, loan, okay, for a particular evening or event, or even a particular period of time, if you're doing a particular time of your life. So I hope you will invest in me, and don't mind. Check back regularly for updates. Go to andshesawstars.com. I do have a blog there, but there's other pages there. You can look at my trends. You can look at my press media where I've appeared before. And you can, eventually maybe see me at some of the red carpets where I'm covering. LA Mobility I might cover this year. I did register for LA Comic Con. I have covered Sundance in LA. And then I have, some of my stuff has appeared. Like that one garment was worn to the Grammys. I wish I got images of it. But unfortunately I did not. So, this is worthwhile, and I hope you believe in it. Look for the evolution of this campaign, as well as my other campaigns, as I start to maybe try to tailor it, thinking of like Kickstarter and campaigns I've contributed to, and sort of things that can go to people. How can that be, like thank yous and stuff like that? But we'll see how it goes. Okay? All right, thank you. Take care. andshesawstars@gmail.com is my email. All right, this is LaDonna at andshesawstars. Thank you. Please invest. The Royal Melbourne Institute of Technology in Melbourne, Australia, is a worthwhile academy to go study at. So is Beverly Hills Design Institute and FIDM, the Fashion Institute of Design Merchandising in Well, they have a location in many places in California, but it's well worthwhile. And education is always worthwhile. All right, goodbye.